What's up, guys? D-Rock1992 here. For this next video, I'm going to conclude the Dark Knight trilogy reviews by talking about the final movie in this trilogy, The Dark Knight Rises. So The Dark Knight Rises came out in 2012, 4 years after The Dark Knight. And this movie is directed by Christopher Nolan yet again. Reprising their roles are Christian Bale as Batman, Michael Caine as Alfred, Gary Oldman as Commissioner Gordon, Morgan Freeman as Lucius Fox. These are the people, again, reprising their roles. Then we have some new people as well. We have an anti-hero, kind of more or less a villain who turns into a good guy, and a villain who just stays a villain and is so menacing. And then another villain who is really, and then a surprise villain, actually. I won't spoil that at all, but, you know, it was a surprise for sure. But yeah, The Dark Knight Rises is about Batman has to, after the events of The Dark Knight, Batman is broken. He's really not in good shape. But he has to take on a new force. He has to take on the evil villain Bane, who is, he has to take on the evil villain Bane. He has to confront Catwoman. So Bane and Catwoman are in this movie as the major villains in this film. So Batman has to confront both of these people. So that is essentially the Clip Notes version of the plot of the movie. So we have, first of all, the people. Christian Bale, again, does a great job as Batman and Bruce Wayne. Probably the best job that he's done, honestly. I would honestly say The Dark Knight Rises is Christian Bale's best performance as Batman. He was great in The Dark Knight and Batman Begins, but just seeing his character in this movie, I think it was the best portrayal. Michael Caine plays Alfred. He's in this movie a little less than his other movies, but he still makes a very good Alfred. Michael Caine just played Alfred very well. And he is my favorite Alfred interpretation out of all the Alfreds that we've gotten. Gary Oldman plays Commissioner James Gordon. I think, like Christian Bale, I think Gary Oldman is the best at his character in this movie. I really do. And Morgan Freeman plays Lucius Fox again. He does a good job, He's Morgan Freeman. Like I said before, he adds anything to a movie. Then we have some new characters in this film. And let's start out with the lower characters. Well, not lower, but Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays a young sergeant in this movie, a young police officer who has to help out in the battle and all that, in Batman's battle in this movie. And it is revealed at the end that this sergeant has a very, this sergeant becomes somebody very important. We have French actress Marion Cotillard as Miranda Tate in this movie, whose character takes a dramatic turn at the end of the film, but Marion Cotillard plays a good role in this film. She's very good in the movie. But the two big stars of the movie. First off, I'll talk about Anne Hathaway. So Anne Hathaway plays Catwoman, or Selina Kyle is Selina Kyle, Catwoman's the alter ego. So Anne Hathaway does a very good job in this movie, and I think you compare her performance to Michelle Pfeiffer, who played Catwoman in Batman Returns, and I think they're both pretty even performances and all that. I probably would give the edge to Anne Hathaway by just a little bit, but Michelle Pfeiffer was very good, but I think Anne Hathaway was just a little bit better. And I think there's been some criticism of her performance and all that. I don't think there's some people I don't believe that really liked her performance, maybe some of the public, but I really thought it was good. And then we get to the big star of the movie. I think the guy, Tom Hardy, plays Bane. Now, we had a version of Bane in Batman and Robin, but that version was so cartoonish. He only said like 2 or 3 words throughout the entire movie. So in terms of character, Tom Hardy's version of Bane is miles ahead of the guy who played Bane in 1997. So, I mean, Tom Hardy just does a great job. Bane is the major villain in this film. You know, and it's great to see as well that it's kind of a pattern. And Ra's al Ghul in Batman Begins was pretty much an equal of Batman in terms of fighting ability. Then we got Heath Ledger's Joker, who wasn't an equal to Batman, but used his brains and used cold calculations to get what he wanted. And then we get to Tom Hardy as Bane, who is pretty much Batman's equal, and at first he's too much. He's too superior to Batman at first. So there you go. Now, for Tom Hardy, who he played a character in, he was a strong part of the movie The Revenant, which came out last year, and he did a great job. He does a great job in this movie. He transforms into Bane. Tom Hardy does, and it's just a very good performance for sure. And so I don't think he was quite as good as, not quite as good as Heath Ledger. If I only had one complaint, it's that Tom Hardy's voice as Bane, when it carried, it wasn't as powerful, it wasn't as good, but when the voice was lower and more intimidating, Tom Hardy as Bane was very good. Which was most of the time his voice was low and intimidating, which was very good. I mean, he was. Even with my complaint, I think Tom Hardy's the strongest part of the movie. I really do. He's the character I think for a lot of Batman fans will hold more with fans in the movie. I think, anyway, the villain that will hold more. Not that Anne Hathaway. I think Anne Hathaway did a great job as Catwoman. I really do. But yeah. Anyway, these two villains are very spectacular. I like Aaron Eckhart and Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight and their villains. And like Ra's al Ghul in Batman Begins, villains in the Dark Knight trilogy for me are very, very strong. And it just continues on a trend where the villains are just so strong in all the Batman movies. You know, you have just great villain portrayals in pretty much all but one. Batman and Robin wasn't that great, but of course, but yeah, you have some great villain portrayals throughout the Batman series, and I think that's great to see. I really do. So overall, my thoughts of the movie was I really enjoyed it. I know that this movie has gotten some crap from Batman from the public. There are some people who didn't like, who were very underwhelmed by The Dark Knight Rises, very underwhelmed by the movie, very disappointed. I haven't heard a lot of people who hate the movie in particular, but for me, I really enjoyed it. I think it was a good, thrilling ending to the Dark Knight trilogy. It put a nice bow on that whole trilogy, and it put a nice bow on the trilogy, and just, now we have this trilogy to really remember. I think, so again, the the review I'm going to give this movie is a 4 out of 5 stars. I think like Batman Begins, it falls just a little bit short of amazing, but I really, really enjoyed this movie. Like I said, it really wrapped up the Batman series quite well. And now we have, I think, 3 great movies in the Batman trilogy to really remember for sure. So that is it for my review of Batman: The Dark Knight of The Dark Knight Rises, and my review of the Dark Knight trilogy as a whole. So that's it for this video. D-Rock 1992 out.